The next inalienable right conceived by our forefathers was liberty. Every day, brave men and women all over the world work tirelessly to protect our liberty. And every mission, every action taken has behind it a foundation of geographic information, spatial analysis, and intelligence driven by GIS. To share with us some of the challenges that these brave men and women face every day and the way that GIS can play a critical role in their success, please welcome the Assistant Director of Intelligence, Headquarters, Marine Corps, Mr. Phil Chudoba.
Thanks, Lauren, and good morning. I appreciate you taking the time to come here and listen to me. I'm going to share some thoughts with you about actionable intelligence. I'm going to presume at the outset that a few of you are familiar with our organization, but just a few facts to calibrate us. We have about 200,000 Marines in active service presently, and Marine Corps intelligence is about 5% of that, roughly 10 to 11,000, depending upon how you count it. Our job is to enhance the lethality and the survivability of the Marines in the battle space, and it's a difficult job. It has to do with timely, accurate, meaningful information delivered to the decision maker at the right place and the right time. This is something that we call actionable intelligence, and it has relevance to what we're discussing here at the conference over the next 2 days. Actionable intelligence is not a new concept. If you've been around for a while, you might know this concept as combat intelligence. That's what we called it when Brian Williams and I were on active duty together. But, very good, okay. I was just wondering who was watching the news. So I want to start by speaking to you about this, the idea of speed to market with relevant information. Some of you recognize this as John Boyd's OODA loop. John Boyd was a U.S. Air Force fighter pilot who developed a theory to enable more effective, agile decision-making processes in his business. If you think about this loop for a moment, it's not a stretch of the imagination to see how it applies to sporting events, right? In the NFL, every time they take the field, this is really what they're after on each side of the line of scrimmage. Our business, the business of combat, is hyper-competitive, and so speed is absolutely key in everything we do, and speed is relative. Speed is essentially relative to the enemy's decision-making process. If we're faster than our adversary, we're able to prevail. So let me drill down on this a little bit and put some finer points on it from the Marine Corps perspective. When I think about actionable intelligence, I graph it like this. At the top, we have a level of certainty that approximates 100%. And in the intelligence business, we rarely get there. We strive, we collect, we process, we analyze, but it's really difficult to get to that 100% certainty level. In order to get there, we apply time and resources, right? Analytic manpower through our IT handling systems, brain power on the part of our intelligence Marines, and it takes us time to sort through information, to collate it, and do the sense-making that gives us an answer that's usable by the commander. There's a sweet spot in there. Marines tend to pride themselves on the ability to make decisions with information that is somewhere in the 65 to 75% accuracy range. And that has nothing to do with us discounting that additional 25% of accuracy that we might want to have. It has everything to do with the OODA loop. It has everything to do with the need to make these decisions, effective decisions, informed decisions, to make these decisions more rapidly than our adversary. Every commander has a sweet spot somewhere in that loop. It's our job as intelligence professionals to understand where that is. A commander will have that X marked somewhere in the sweet spot depending upon his experience, his intuition, his exposure to the details, but every commander has that crossover point. And once we understand where that is, we really need to embrace the next part of the challenge. Because in the operating space, the adversary not only has an independent will to survive, The adversary has an independent will to prevail. So that if we take too long in our endeavors to develop the fidelity of our information, suddenly we drop off that cliff and the information becomes irrelevant and we have to start over. So this is the challenge that we're trying to reduce so that our Marines can operate within that OODA loop with more speed and better tempo. Moving that curve a little more to the left is what we're after. And getting there seems somewhat simple, but it's been exceedingly difficult. You see, we have tremendous sensing capability across the battle space, but more often than not, that sensing capability terminates in operation centers and looks something like this. This is what I call the mall cop configuration of sensor inputs. And I think it's unfair. I think it's injustice that we give our Marines this type of visualization of the battle space. Because when a lucrative target transverses a sensor's field of view, we should not be forcing the Marine to make cognitive sense of where that target is in the battle space. We should be able to deliver it to him. So we want to get away from the mall cop dilemma. We can't have 16 monitors duct taped together because we don't have the luxury to sit in front of it and stare at it with a cup of coffee and a donut. This multi-understanding model is really what we're after. A single, integrated, digital workspace that is able to give us all the phenomenology we need across the spectrum to enable our decision-making on behalf of the commander. It seems quite simple, but actually there is a measure of complexity here. The phenomenologies and the sensors that we ingest have got to know where they are at time and in space each time we deliver them to the user, so that we can build those layers, create the mashup that Jack spoke about earlier, that gives us a synoptic view of the battle space, understanding where our sensors are, where they're currently looking, where they're able to look, and what they're seeing across the RF spectrum, as well as the visual and other elements of the spectrum, to give the enemy no sanctuary across the spectrum, and to enable our troops in the battle space to detect, identify, locate, close with, and deal with every threat they encounter. The source data has to be ingested. Once those layers are normalized, we want to apply the advanced analytics that give us the capability to deal with vast amounts of data coming in from very disparate sensors that together can give us the picture we need. And so, in our quest to make this a reality, we've partnered with Esri within the framework of a cooperative research and development agreement and sit with them continuously in a representative environment down at Marine Corps Base Quantico, sorting this problem out. We owe this to our Marines in the battle space. I believe the technology is here today for us to get there, and I'm very thankful for the partnership that we have with this industry partner to get us where we need to be with multi-spatial, multi-sensor awareness to enable our kill chains to move a little quicker.